Last week, the feds announced they were boosting their planned wage subsidy from 10% to up to 75%. It will apply to all businesses, big and small, but to qualify, a business has to prove a 30% drop in revenues compared to the same month last year, and they're going to have to do that every month. The subsidy will cover 75% for the first $58,700 of a salary, so that equates to about $847 a week per employee. Employers will have to attest they're doing what they can to pay the remaining 25%. Today, Finance Minister Bill Morneau announced the cash will be available about 6 weeks from now, and it will cost the Treasury an estimated $71 billion. Does that help come soon enough? Aaron Bernstein is the owner of Bernstein's Deli in Winnipeg, and Nathan Hines is the owner of the Old Spot Pub in Toronto. Hi to both of you.
Hi.
Aaron, can I start with you? Can you just give us sort of a lay of the land about how the pandemic so far has affected your business?
Yeah, well, we've seen a dramatic drop in foot traffic through the business, and the phone's been ringing off the hook with people either wanting curbside pickup or deliveries. Business is still down substantially. We're probably about 40% down. But that didn't start right away. The first couple of days, we were actually busier than normal. People were stocking up. They weren't sure what to expect. We've also had to lay off about 30% of our workforce because obviously our dining room's not open. And just the way that the workdays changed, we don't need as many people in here at once. We also don't want it to be crowded. Sometimes people are kind of working right next to each other, and we're trying to avoid that where possible.
So what you heard, let me quickly follow up before I jump over to Nathan. What you heard today from the government, does it apply to you?
I believe it will. There's a chance we won't qualify for March, but certainly for April we should. And it'll be a help for sure.
Nathan, what about you? Tell me about the Old Spot and how the pandemic has affected your business.
My business has dropped 100%. We had to close on the Monday, which was the 16th. We're a pub and neighborhood restaurant. We're not really set up for takeout and delivery. It's a very small part of our business. So I immediately had to close. Sorry, I got a call coming through. It's distracting me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you can decline it because it's covered the screen as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll
awesome.
Oh, there you go.
I think you're back, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I had to lay everybody off. We went to zero revenue from being a fully functioning restaurant, so it's been devastating.
I can only imagine. When you heard what the government, I mean, obviously, if you're closed, does paying wages make a difference to you?
Well, no. I mean, it's not really relevant to, I think, a lot of restaurants for that reason. I mean, there's no business, there's no revenue, there's no job here. We're going to attempt to open up tomorrow to do takeout and delivery. Yeah, I mean, I can hire people. That would be helpful in that sense. But, you know, for all the people that I had to lay off, obviously there's a backlog with this CERB and EI. And if this subsidy is not the portal, from what I understand, the portal is not even going to be open for 6 weeks. So even for a chef who we're hiring back on, he's not going to see any money for 2 months. And, you know, his first rent with not getting paid for 2 weeks was due today. What's going to happen in May?
Aaron, when it comes to that timeline, I know you said that wage subsidy could be of help to you. If it is 6 weeks off, is that doable? What do you think?
It might pose a challenge. I'm hoping that the loan program might open up before then. I haven't really seen details on that either. But yeah, we'll do what we can. I'm really not sure. 6 weeks from now, like every day, I don't know how busy it's going to be. We've had up and down days. Generally, it's quite down. But we're also adjusting staff levels on a daily basis to just try and make sure we're managing that cost right now.
Let me follow up with you, Aaron, on the loan program. So what that is, and I know our viewers are somewhat familiar with it, is part of this announcement from the federal government where Help for Businesses is concerned was a $40,000 loan made available, I think, through the Business Development Bank, through banks as well, interest-free for the first year, and then up to a quarter of it can be forgiven. It looks like the banks, we heard from the finance minister earlier in the show, need a few weeks to figure out, I guess, exactly how that's going to work. Would a $40,000 loan at this point be advantageous for you?
Absolutely. Like, it's interest free. I'm sure you can pay it back quickly if you are able to, and once the wage subsidies kick in, that would probably be enough to float us for the 6 weeks. We have our own credit. Like, I think most restaurants operate on operating lines of credit a lot of the time. So, we're not fully up against the top of everything, but it's certainly what we have available is shrinking every day right now.
Nathan, what about you? We've heard from a lot of other businesses that are, they're hesitant to take on more debt, even if it is interest-free for the first year. Do loans do anything for you at this point?
I don't see any value to that at all. I mean, first of all, you've got to pay back that loan super aggressively. And when you're closed for multiple months and you're supposed to carry your rent and carry all your bills and then accumulate more debt that you need to pay off after losing those months, including the rent that's building up, it's nonsensical, really. This is already a narrow margin business, and the answer to be take on more debt, keep paying your bills, but take on more debt, and I don't see how that's helpful at all. I mean, it really. I just don't see how it's helpful.
Is there anything the government could do that would help your particular situation, do you think?
Well, they have to stop. They have to freeze all of the bills. That rent has to stop. There needs to be a vacation on rent immediately. Like, that needed to happen yesterday. My neighbor just a couple doors down, I ran into him today, and he was locking his door. He had stayed open doing takeout, another restaurant. And he had a landlord who's not as friendly as mine. My landlord's working with me. I think that's the minority. He had to close and walk away from his restaurant today. Totally devastated. There needs to be some support here. Leaving it up to the good graces of, banks or your landlords is not going to work. We're particularly vulnerable. Small businesses, particularly the hospitality business, being left to fend for ourselves and rely on the good graces of our creditors is ridiculous. Big businesses get bailed out all the time, and for reasons that are their own faults. And this is an instance where we had this, pandemic, which is out of everyone's control and leaving us totally vulnerable to lose all of our revenue, our entire livelihood. Everyone in the hospitality business, business owners and workers, everyone got their tap shut off instantly, and they're just saying, "Oh, well, wait for the portal to come out or get a loan to keep your business floating, but you're still responsible for all your bills and everything. We're not going to help you at all." That's the message I'm getting, and it's terrifying.
I was going to say I can't even imagine the stress that you're under right now.
Yeah, and hearing these press conferences and saying the small business is the backbone of the economy and we've got your back, it's all empty. There's been no help to this point. And having those questions being asked of the Prime Minister and him brushing them aside like that is, I'm gobsmacked. I don't even know how to process it at this point. All I know is that I've got to try to get something going here. And luckily, I've got a couple of employees who want to help out, and we're going to give it a shot and try to keep going. And I've got a great landlord who's working with me so far. I'm one of the lucky ones, like I said. Frankly, one of our colleagues has a savehospitality.ca, and they wrote a document, and I got that document, and it summed up everything that could be done. I would like to see that document put in front of the finance minister and the prime minister, and I'd like to see them try to poke holes in that. Because I don't think you can. And I just don't understand why more is not being done right away. I'm talking to my staff daily on WhatsApp, and they're terrified. I'm talking to my chef, and he's like, I got this month, but I don't know what's going to happen now. But what we do know what's going to happen is this shutdown is going to last till the end of June. And it's a terrible position for me to be in, for everybody in the hospitality business. I can't believe we're not getting any real help. And subsidies for jobs that don't exist, and loans that put you further into debt. I'd like to know how many people defaulted on their lease today. I can't believe nothing more is being done. I can't believe it's not even being addressed. I heard you talking to the finance minister earlier, and he totally dodged your question. I'm shocked. I thought this was a progressive country we were living in, and it doesn't feel like that right now.
I know that a lot of people can empathize with what you're saying. Nathan, I just have time for one final comment from you, unfortunately. When it comes to rent and that issue, your thoughts?
My thoughts on...
I'm sorry, Aaron. I meant Aaron. My apologies.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, well, the mall that we're in, I think about 3/4 of the businesses are forced to be closed now. So if the government's not allowing you to operate your business, I think it makes sense that their carrying costs should just be covered. Like, you can't be open, so they want you to pay your staffs 25%, so they pay 75%, but where's that money going to come from? And to reopen, if it's a week, a month, or 3 months, it's not like you're going to have a bunch of extra revenue coming in to cover past rent payments. So yeah, the idea of taking on the debt, like I said earlier, right now I feel like my business is in a bit of a lucky position where we have cash flow coming on a daily basis. We are open. So I'm able to pay rent right now, but I know many of the people that are in the mall who are friends of mine are really like just not sure what's going to happen. And our landlord has deferred their rent, but which is great. It's a starting point, but they're not sure how they're going to pay it in the future.
I'm so sorry I have to cut you off. The show ends in just 30 seconds and I have to wrap. I apologize. I really thank both of you for your time, and I know a lot of Canadians are empathizing with what you're going through. Thanks very much to Aaron Bernstein and Nathan Hines. I'm Vashi Capella.